All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Josh Erdman, CEO of Torchlight Marketing. I come from a 20-year background in IT. So when it comes to marketing services by Torchlight, we tend to put a technical spin on our efforts. And you can think of us like the geeks of marketing. We love analyzing the data. You can imagine we're very comfortable when it comes to things like SEO, pay-per-click advertising, AI, and even automation. Like when you want to fire off emails, especially in e-commerce, we call that like e-commerce intelligence. And I don't know about you guys, but over the last 12 months, things have been very interesting. We've noticed it's harder to get leads. We're working harder for our clients. A lot of clients work with us to have us manage their pay-per-click advertising, and we're having to get more creative. We're working harder to keep the cost per lead down, and we have questions coming to us. People are wondering about AI, and we see that people interact with the internet differently. They search different. It feels like the world is changing. And I imagine that is why you're here. As I've consulted with people, it feels like we're rowing against the currents. And some of the businesses that I've talked to have been doing the same thing that worked well for them for so long, but the tools are out of date and today are considered like the wrong tools, kind of like if you would be rowing with a hockey stick today. So that's what we're here. That's what we're going to be talking about. Um, and I'm glad you guys could join us. So, some of those currents that are really affecting what we're doing, Google algorithms have always been changing. That's been a familiar thing. There's a new thing called zero-click search. It's much more pervasive now. We'll touch on that really quick on what that is. And AI, of course, is another big one. So this is what it feels like, but we're on the geek side of marketing. So we're going to actually look at some specific data. Many of our clients have come to us saying, hey, we're looking at our website traffic and it's dropping. What is going on? And I went through several of our accounts just to pull up some of these trends. You can see with this customer here, it shows total traffic and July of last year. And here we are approaching, you can see the July of the next year is lower. And then we're approaching July and it's much lower. And we see a lot of these trends across many different markets. And this is very scary to see a drop in traffic. I mean, when you have the same quality traffic over time, a drop in traffic would imply it's going to be a drop in business, a drop in leads. This is definitely something that we're aware about for our clients. And this is organic traffic, all these graphs. So for our clients that we're just doing advertising paid traffic for, they are seeing this as well. This isn't the advertising traffic. We're also seeing this in another way, and that is, and they call it the great decoupling. It's this trend here. So the blue line is the total clicks each day from to your website from Google. This is a Google report. The purple line is the number of impressions, the number of times Google is mentioning you. And, obviously one is, several orders of magnitude larger than the other, but they've been linked together. You can see that there's a relationship. It would be about, what is that? 100 times more traffic. So you get about 100 times more impressions than you are in clicks. But as we move forward, when 2025 hit for this customer, it's separating. The number of impressions keeps the trend, but the number of clicks is dropping down. It's, and they're not as related as they used to be. And we're seeing that also time and time again across multiple clients as well. This would show a client who started some SEO efforts. They're getting more impressions, but these are decoupled again. They're not getting as much traffic, as many clicks to their site. This is just a trend I wanted to show everyone, just to set a foundation for the clear disruption that's happening across the markets. And I've pulled these from retail websites. I've pulled these from legal websites, plumbing websites, even some tourism websites. So we're going across multiple industries when it came to getting all these together. So I I propose that there is a significant shift that's happening, and it's similar to what happened 25 years ago. So let's get a little bit of background. The telephone was mainstream for about 100 years. 40% of households had a phone by 1893. And when you ran a business, the yellow pages was a significant portion of your advertising efforts. And then 25 years ago, everything shifted. Business owners had to think about what to do with this thing called the internet. I need to be on this new medium. I need to get a website now. What is this about search? I need to show up in search. I propose that confusion, that stress, and this whole new medium that happened 25 years ago is the similar thing that's happening today, and that's the disruption. And in the world of technology, um, even though the phone and the yellow pages were mainstream for 100 years, what we've been doing with internet advertising, with websites, SEO, and search for 20 years, 20 years is a long period of time when it comes to the speed of technology, how technology is moving fast these days. So, what's this new landscape? 25 years ago, it was a battle for the top of search. Today, we have another battle, and it is the top of the AIs. Which AIs people are going to use that will become mainstream? I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know which one is going to be mainstream, but what I do know is it has created such a disruption. AI is moving to be mainstream over search, and there is going to be a minority of these that are being the most relevant. So that's the curiosity, the thing that we're looking for and looking ahead is which AIs. We'll be talking a little bit about more of that shortly. So the strategy it has been very straightforward for the last 20 years. For the last 20 years, Google has been the absolute top of the food chain in when it came to marketing. You either put efforts in SEO to get better visibility on Google, or you paid for it. You paid for Google search ads to rank higher, and you bought that visibility instead of earned it through SEO. And so that it's been very easy, but it's not the same anymore. Unless Google still has this same market share in AI, which they don't. This is what it looked like in December of 2023 when it came to AI market share. OpenAI was huge, Microsoft was huge, Google was way behind trying to catch up. And this is a report from the end of 2024. I guess the analytics got done and they cranked it out. They displayed it in 2025. Microsoft's still gaining share. Google's starting to catch up, but Google's clearly not on top. There's not an obvious contender yet. And I propose that the next 12 months are going to be very dynamic in which AI people are going to be using. And I think the big question everyone has here is, okay, yes, we're here on this presentation. We recognize there's a big change. AI clearly is making headway. How do I leverage AI in my business to stay on top, to stay relevant? Because the leads I'm getting, the visibility I have solely by Google just doesn't cut it anymore. So where do we see AI being used? It's very common now in those search overviews. Microsoft has been putting that in Bing. Google's sprinted to put that in there. We're seeing AI being used in chatbots. Call centers are starting to adopt AI. They're able to take all the transcripts that they have from calls and use AI to handle the majority of the phone calls that are almost always the same. And that's an amazing, powerful change. And interestingly, we're seeing AI in software. If you do programming, there is an AI assistant that will watch what you're coding and help you finish the functions that you're writing. If you use Microsoft Office today, or if you use any of the Google Workspace apps like Google Docs, Google Sheets, there's an AI built into it now. And built into Windows is also Copilot. So Microsoft has their AI both into their popular software products and in Windows. This is a report as of this year. 3/4 of all computers, so that's all the laptops and desktops, are Windows. And that makes a very interesting thing there. This makes an opportunity when we were trying to guess which AI is going to be on top. Microsoft has just been able to jump ahead of Google. When you're working on a document, maybe you're using Word or and you're typing things up. On 3/4 of all the computers, you have a Microsoft AI. Previously, when I needed to write a term paper and then do a search, I would close Word, switch over to Chrome, fire up Google, and do searching. But now, in the middle of my AI, in the middle of me working on a Word document, Copilot's right there. So this is a significant opportunity for Microsoft to try to reign again in this new world of AI. I find that very interesting. And this is an example in Word on what the Copilot AI looks like, but you have the same Copilot integrated in Microsoft Excel if you're making a list or if you're doing formulas in your spreadsheet also. So just like when search ruled and you wanted to have greater visibility in search, you wanted Google to everyone's heard it, we're going to get you to the top of Google, and you got there in the top of Google by paying for it, or in the top of organic if you earned it through SEO efforts. That's the big question. How do I get the visibility in AI? And what we're doing is we're calling that next generation SEO, and it has 3 pieces to it. One of that is teaching the AIs. Another one is advertising, and both in the AI and then doing some awareness advertising. We'll talk about strategies for those in just a second. Many people here, I'm sure, are familiar with SEO. How do I get Google to like me more? That's what we say the SEO acronym stands for, is getting Google to like you. If you've done any form of SEO, we want to know what your keywords are. What are the words people are most likely, your customers most likely to type in the Google search? Because that's what you would want to be all about. That's what you would want on your website. These are the basics that I would think any SEO effort should have. And these have been basic for the last 20 years, SEO basics. The good news is, if you've been investing in AI and investing in SEO and doing these things for your company, it's not wasted. All of this is extremely relevant today as well with AI. So that's the good news. The bad news is, if you have not been doing any SEO work at all whatsoever, you don't know what your keywords are, your website's not fast, you haven't checked and made backlinks, you have some catching up to do. Because not only do you have these basics to do, but there's some advanced things that are now more relevant in AI. These are examples of some of the advanced things that a lot of SEO experts would talk about. Schema. There'd be conversations on length of copy. Do we write, how long should our blog articles be, or how long should a content page be? And there's these philosophies on length and what's perfect for Google. Reviews. If the whole world is 90% Google on search, well, then the reviews that matter the most would be the Google business profile. What about the value of reviews in other places? When it comes to AI, all these other ones, these advanced AI things that were almost philosophical, that you could spend a lot of time on and just were incremental improvements, now actually have a big effect. This graph is an interesting one. The blue line represents the data that all the AI companies have put together to feed and train their AI. And you can see it grows significantly fast. And I want you to realize that this is exponential. So every little jump from this line to the next line above it, that is 10 times more data. So it almost is like a 5 times increase in data that's being fed to the AIs to train them. The green line is the amount of data or human knowledge that's out there. it doubles about every year. So we have the training data that's increasing by 5 times a year, but human knowledge that's increasing by twice a year. And there's this prediction somewhere around 2026 to 2027 that the the data that they're trying to feed the AIs is going to contain all human knowledge. What does that mean? That means that the AIs are going to be extremely hungry. So you can take advantage of this. You can create things that are educational on your website that AI will readily consume. So what does that look like? Well, when it comes to content, the people would talk about, well, how to write things, how many keywords do I need to use. Well, now we're teaching something that has that is called a large language model. It likes conversational text, verbose explanations. There's no more priority to put in fluff so you can reach 1,500 word article. It needs to be a conversational text with a verbose answer. And then the other thing that's interesting is the other mediums, such as videos and podcasts, are relevant. The AIs, we have already hit all the text that's been out there. So what AIs are doing now are they're looking at the YouTube videos. When you upload a video on YouTube, it's automatically captioned, and everything that you're saying is transcribed, so the AI is reading that, and it's doing the same kind of thing for podcasts. So when it comes to your business, any kind of passion that you enjoy doing, whether it's writing or if it's talking and making videos, that's going to be completely relevant and a whole lot easier. Where previous SEO efforts, we were kind of stuck with just text, because that's what Google would read. So the term is multimodal. AIs will listen to what you have to say, will watch your videos, and will also read all the text you put on your website. So natural language is important. It needs to be like a conversation based. That's why there's some other elements that make it so valuable. For example, in natural language, FAQs are extremely valuable. Anytime you write a blog article where you're trying to teach a potential customer something, you're also trying to teach the AI something, put some FAQs at the bottom. That's gold to an AI when it comes to its knowledge. As you write articles, especially if you're using something like WordPress, your articles have the ability to be categorized. Using the category function built into WordPress, where you're collecting all your articles together to like categories, is a really strong signal to teach AI about this type of knowledge. So it connects all that together, and will teach it better, but also make you an authority, because it will connect all that data it's learning from your site because it's categorized. So categorizing is important. So when you're doing all this work, trying to get more visibility in AI, it's only going to be good if you can measure it. A lot of the SEO tools out there, they're sprinting to make tools that can show you visibility. And the first one that we found is a company called Search Atlas. They are this is a screen of a beta shot of their software, what they're trying to create. And you can see here, this is doing queries about your business. So if you do business law, for example, it will ask the AI's questions about law firms in your city, for example, and it will list out not only if your company's listed and visible in some of those queries with these AIs. And this example was ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini, but also sentiment, its opinion of you. So what does that mean? That means the AIs are reading reviews, not just on Google, but on Yelp and TripAdvisor and HomeAdvisor and Rate My Doctor and all the other review sites that are out there. It's scraping everything and building a sentiment. So when it comes to reviews, a lot of times people would, ignore the 2 or 3 one-star reviews they have in Yelp because everything else came from Google and that's all that mattered. Well, now AI is putting all those together. So it's a pretty fascinating thing that we're in. I have a couple of homework ideas. Like, I don't want to put together a presentation that doesn't have some tangible, actionable things that people can do. So I can list those here. But does anyone have any questions about anything so far?
I think Erica had her hand up earlier. Erica, did you still have a question?
I accidentally hit it.
Oh,
Thanks for
yeah.
keeping an eye out though.
No problem.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
All right, so homework. Here's some actionable things that we recommend for everyone to do. It doesn't require special tools, and it's sometimes a little surprising that we have some of these. One of those is a Google Business Profile deep dive. We want this to be accurate because Google's AI is going to pull a lot of information from that. In your Google Business Profile, there are way more fields than just your name, the business category, your phone number, and your web address. But that's typically where we see people stop. They don't fill out the other things. In there, you can put in links to your social media networks that you participate on, your business operating hours, whether or not you are woman owned or minority owned or a veteran. All those are important things as well, because in search engines, it wasn't easy to do a search for all the pizza joints that are veteran owned. For AI, it can answer that kind of question. So it makes sense to fill all those out. There's other ones built in the Google Business Profile. You can put in posts, just like when you share information and post on social media. Your Google Business Profile actually is a social media channel. You can post there as well. So go through it in detail, fill out everything. And I'm going to bring up another part of the Google Business Profile in just a second. FAQs. You're going to want an FAQ page on your website. A lot of times when I work with people, they don't know where to start when they are writing blog articles. So what I tell them to do is start with an FAQ page, answer each question verbosely, and each question actually could be a candidate for a future blog article. So start with an FAQ page, and as you make these, you'll get interactions from other people. You're also teaching the AIs, but it's not just an FAQ page. That's step one. If you're going to start doing some of these things, your service page, you could have frequently asked questions about a specific service. Or if you're selling products, there's a lot of questions about each product. You want to take advantage of FAQs as much as you can. Specific for your business, once when you start creating these FAQs and you've done a thorough job answering them, you can cycle back to your Google Business Profile because there's a question and answer section there too. A lot of business owners, they don't ever fill out the question and answer section. They're just sitting there waiting for a customer or prospect to ask a question so that they can answer it. And you might not know this, but you can go to your Google Business Profile and put in your own question. So take those questions that you wish someone would ask, go ahead and proactively put those in there for you. That would be extremely valuable, especially when it comes to teaching the Google side of their AI called Gemini. And then the last one, get more reviews. It's no longer a good idea to just have favorites and just focus on trying to get reviews in your Google Business Profile. You're going to want to use a review platform that will pull reviews everywhere, because you can let an AI do research homework and give you sentiment. What does that mean? A business, if we just go across any business, you could across all industries. We have your Facebook page can take reviews, your Google Business Profile can take reviews, and Yelp. And then there's a lot of review platforms that are unique, but there's two more that a lot of people neglect, and that is your employment reviews. What do your employees say about the company work culture or the leadership? That is also in there. And those two review sites are Glassdoor and Indeed. Do you check those? Because it would look bad if the AI, when you're saying, hey, what do people think about this company? If I want to do business, or I want to hire this company to come paint my house, should how are they rated? And the AI says, oh, customers always give them 5 stars up, but um, there has been some female employees that are complaining about unfair payment and that women are paid less there. That would look bad. So maybe they do a good job, but they don't treat their employees well. So sentiment across what customers say and what employees say is huge. So you're going to want to use a review management platform that looks across all of those. Okay. So we talked a lot about NextGen SEO. NextGen SEO is all about earning visibility from the AI. If I have a good sentiment through my reviews, if there's links and articles are citing me and talking about me, and I have content that's teaching the AIs, and the AIs are not just reading my articles, but also getting new knowledge from FAQs, it's learning something. I'm likely to get more visible. But there's a new opportunity here, and that is AI ads. You can advertise in AI now. ChatGPT announced that you can advertise in AI on their platform in 2026. That's an eternity from now. Microsoft and Google have been sprinting to this, and they have released it this month. So if you're already doing a Google search ad, you can turn that on. They call it AI Max. And Microsoft has a Copilot ads as well that are available. My recommendation would be a test budget. We're seeing some instability on the Google side of things, but it's definitely worth it when people are trying to do a smarter, more detailed search and go to a thought engine instead of a search engine for an answer. It would make sense for Gemini to mention you, or Copilot, for example. But those are the two main platforms that have advertising available inside them: is Google and Google's Gemini and Microsoft's Copilot. And it wouldn't surprise me if ChatGPT, OpenAI, moves faster and gets it to market, because 6 months is an eternity in the world of technology. So there's another key thing that I wanted to bring up, and that was familiarity. If you've used AI, which I imagine everyone has, when you're mentioning things and you ask AI's questions, let's go back to our painting my house analogy. What painter would be a good company to hire for painting my house in Napomo? It's going to give you 3 or 4 businesses, but it's just the business name. There's no logo, there's no colors, no slogan, unless you asked what the slogans were. So now you have this new problem. Before, you could buy placement and Google would even show ads and show little stars for reviews, and give you some, what I would like to say is like eye candy. AI, when it's answering something, doesn't. It just drops text. So how are you going to create this familiarity when your name is showed up, but it's just text? And the way to do that is going to be through display advertising. It is so what I'm calling everyone back to is the golden age of marketing back in the 60s. Having a jingle, having a logo, having some familiarity that pops so people remember your name. So that way, when AI drops 5 names, 5 different businesses it recommends to paint your house, you already see one. And then you realize, oh yeah, my local NBC website that I go to has that ad every now and then. Display ads are going to be valuable for that kind of awareness. So I highly recommend that in this crazy change of times that we're having. Let me go to our next slide. So I look ahead and I feel like the next 12 months are going to be very dynamic. It's going to be just like how things were when we were trying to figure out which search engine was on top. Google's not the only player for us to focus on anymore. The good news is any form of next-gen SEO is going to be relevant across all the AIs, whichever one wins. So that is a long-term investment. And if you want to be extra aggressive, when you are playing with cutting-edge things such as advertising on new networks, it has been our experience that advertising with new networks or new campaign types typically performs better than normal. You just watch it and take advantage of it while it's performing better because you got there first. So that would be That would be my recommendation when it comes to those. So what you need to do now, invest in a next gen SEO effort. If you haven't done any SEO, you got to catch up. You need to do some SEO now. How fast is your website? What are your keywords? We have a lot of, this is a big lift. Companies 25 years ago weren't ready to just turn off their yellow page ads, but they needed to do extra and have their leg in both sides of the fence when it came to advertising. We're going to have to do something similar because things are shifting. We don't really know what to do now. But the issue is it gets to be very expensive when you're paying one company to run your PPC ads, another company to do SEO, your social media company to post on social media and manage, local SEO. Plus, you're monitoring all this stuff. So, what we've done as a company is we've put together bundles to help people out with that and get all the services that they would need for a budget that would fit them. You can see here that across all the different services here, we have a variety of digital ad services, a huge selection of different SEO services. So if you have a business that's services locally, local SEO efforts are going to be very valuable if you have a service area. If you are on the internet and you work nationally or internationally, you will also want to do global SEO. And then this AI extended SEO efforts. These are some of the things that are finely used schema items that are relevant to be on AI today. Plus some important reporting tools that are available at the same time. AI visibility measurement, like the screen that I showed previously. And we even have some lead intelligence tools. So these tools see what businesses have been to your website. So if you do business to business, you can get a list of companies that have visited your website. And then you can either buy contacts of that company or for businesses that if you've been in business for a long time, it'd be like, oh, I know who they are. It's time for me to send them a thinking of you email. So that's what this lead intelligence service is all about. We have a QR code available that will allow you to book with me. And then what we're going to do is tomorrow, I'm going to send an email out to everyone. It's going to be a copy of this recording. And it's also going to have the copy of the homework and some extra things that you can do. So if you didn't catch all the tips that we're putting in on NextGen SEO that you could do for yourself right now, it will definitely be on that email that we're sending out tomorrow.
So Josh, just to clarify, you're offering to speak with each of the participants on the webinar to take a look at their business and discuss where they are strong and weak in different areas?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is not an easy challenge for everyone when it comes to this. So I'm more than happy to book with people that took the time to hop on this webinar and point them in the right direction and discuss what they need to change, help them decide how to put things that are bundled together. One of the things that we've realized as we've been going after this challenge since September is that it gets to be very expensive when you're working with 3 or 4 different marketing companies across different things. And working with a company that can consolidate a lot of these is going to be helpful. But that doesn't work for all businesses. So I'm more than happy to point them to what would work best for them as well. So yeah, thanks for asking. Is there any other questions that we have out there? I'm more than happy to answer them. Okay.
And you guys feel free to put your questions in the chat as well, or just unmute and let us hear your voice.
Yeah, unmute and dive in. I can pull up a website and we can do some Q&A right now as well. That'd be fun.
When you say you'll pull up a website and do Q&A, do you mean like a quick analysis of what is good and what is not?
Yeah, we could do a website breakdown would be great. Yeah.
Would love for you to go to nativetrailshome.com and do that.
All right. Okay, so on this website we have some products. So let's go over to the product section. And then this looks like a category page. So I can see that in the URL. So let's go to a specific product. We have some finishes, features. So we have a lot of different things here. And these are bulleted lists. So AI likes bulleted lists. That's good. What I don't see on this product page specifically is Q&As. So people might have questions such as, what is the warranty, or are these shatterproof, or do they handle, another question, especially with it being what looks like maybe a ceramic, is there a thermal issue I need to worry about from cold water to hot water, for example? So those would be FAQs that I think would be relevant to have on the site, not just for the person, but also for the AI.
So
Now,
a really quick question for you. I'm really interested in learning all of the different ways that I can use AI to optimize. Can I have AI analyze the page and say what Q&As would be helpful to our target audience?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, when you work with AI, you can have a conversation, and not all the free AIs, but the paid ones, and they're cheap, like $20 a month. You can give it a URL and tell it here's my current page, and then give it some background of your business and other things that you know about. And some of them allow you to upload a PDF. So if you have a catalog, maybe you save that specific page of that product as a PDF. Make sure it's not a picture PDF, but one that you can select the text on, and give that AI both of these things and say, what are some elements that I would add to that page? Now, we're going to geek out a little bit. I'm going to go to one extra
I love that.
super technical thing. This is all the text that we see. And when there is a difference, and you have all this information for people, the width, the measurements, I don't see weight here, but an AI needs to differentiate and realize that these are dimensions, but is that the product dimensions, or that's the dimensions of the package in the box when it's being shipped? And there's a lot of other dimensions that might be relevant, and not all of those they're easy to the human, but maybe not to the AI. So
Josh,
if you go to something,
you mentioned the importance of reviews for AI. Would that be something to add to a product page like this?
ooh, that's another one. Yeah, I'll touch on that one in just a second. So there's a thing called schema, which is sort of like a spreadsheet for the AIs that can go and look and get spoon fed in a spreadsheet format of specifically what a product has and what it fits. So let's see if you have product schema. So you can see how this is sort of like a table. We have the name, and then this is the name that we want the AI to make sure they know, not try to guess by reading a page. And here's all the different schema types. So you want to make, and in some of these, especially when it comes to products, there is another field called rating. So on your product here, you can add a module to your shopping cart where people can rate it. And then when they're leaving those ratings, that would be a schema here.
So let me ask how that works, that rating system would work if your business model is not direct to consumer, but instead like we're working with a dealer.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, because then you have this other problem. When you're doing rating, a lot of the ratings that are built into a shopping cart show or require a proof of purchase. Right. So yours gets to be difficult because there isn't a purchase that happened. So when you almost need to allow anyone, regardless of whether they purchased it or not, to leave a rating, which introduces a new problem because now without me creating a breadcrumb of transactions, if I'm a competitor, I could leave a 1-star review. Or if I'm just someone who a disgruntled employee. So it gets to be difficult. What my recommendation is not to get hung up on any one schema, but realize that there are many schemas available and to use the ones that are pretty straightforward and easy to use and fits your business model. And the most obvious one that I see right now in this case would definitely be FAQs, both the ones that people would read, but then you would want those to extend and not just be visible here, but also be inside that spreadsheet, that schema here,
And
because
so
this is
just
formatted.
it's not as helpful for the schema if it's linked to an FAQ page. Is that correct? It has to actually be listed on the page.
Yeah, that is correct. Now I mean, are you talking about generic FAQ for the company or an FAQ specific for a product?
Specific for a product.
So you could do that, but how I would recommend it is use something, because and the other thing is you have an aesthetic here. So FAQ could just turn the web page into a slog. You might be worried about too much content. And that's
Yes.
where other features are. Like if we were to do some draw up on this, and I was to, oops, didn't mean to click that. And what if this was a table and this was the active tab, and then these other tabs here were inactive. So we're only showing the information of the active tab. And one of your tabs was an FAQ. Now I'm have all the data on one page, but for the end user, they're only seeing a piece of the data they want. And then they click from features and they turn on the dimensions tab, and you can be more verbose now because we're not trying to squeeze it all in. And then there's an added benefit with that because you're getting all these clicks on each of these tabs. Every one of those is a user interaction. And Google sees what clicks you're doing on your phone and inside Chrome. You're creating a lot of user engagement and user activity. And if we can get people to click around in a website, those are engagement signals.
So you're saying one tab at a time would be active and show the copy. And then let's say like the tabs that you're not in would be grayed out. And when you click on them, then that's the active tab. Am I correct?
Yeah, because I could see your problem here. It's like you don't want to add a 5th column to this. So
Yeah.
that's how I would recommend doing it is I would add I would have it by tabs. And then there's another answer, because that might not be relevant for everyone and not everyone here is selling product. But what else can we do for FAQs? The other thing that you can do is if you have multiple questions, one after the other, you can have a little, interactive triangle here. And when you click the triangle, it turns down and then opens up the answer to that question. It's called an accordion. You can accordion some things too. So there's multiple ways to have all the content for a person and to generate a lot of extra clicks and not fill a page so it's overwhelming to anyone. So that was fun. Thank you so much for asking. Is there if anyone else has a question, we have the chat, or you can just unmute yourself, and I'm more than happy to answer that, and we can pull up your website.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Oh, sure.
You're welcome to pull up centralcoastkids.org.
Oh, let's do it. So, and it's a pleasure working with you guys on this. We've been running the nonprofit advertising for the Boys and Girls Club of the Central Coast. So this is gonna be fun. There is an SEO thing that is in my mind, particularly about this, and that is the fact that there are so many locations. You're all over the place. You have a lot of locations, and there is a schema called a locations schema.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know we're not the website developers, but that would be a cool thing to check is, do we have a location schema? How does, and when you think of a business like a chamber of commerce has a lot of, members. So they have a directory full of addresses. Well, which is the address for the business, the chamber of commerce itself, versus the address for all the different members? How does it differentiate between all those when it sees, hundreds of addresses? And then if you have multiple locations, like what the Boys and Girls Clubs does, well, which one's an office location versus a service location for the children? Which is the headquarters? That kind of thing. So a location schema is important. So if we were to go here and then see if it's active, and if it's not, that's something that I would highly recommend the web developer do. So we're this is location that's at the Fine Arts Academy, and that's the
Right.
Atascadero location. And then I
Right.
saw another question, so we'll get to that other person right after that. So we see a web page schema, which is, this is all about the web page. But what I'm looking for is a term called location, and it would specifically give the address, the GPS coordinates, and it would list the location type. Is it a headquarters? Is it a remote office? And I don't see that there. So that is an opportunity that you can add to the to each of the locations page. The other one is, for now that we're talking about schemas, is a lot of companies have about us, and they list board members, they list their staff. And if you have anyone, and for a lot of companies, it's not just the picture, but there's might be a page dedicated to a person. Well, when it comes to using the internet, people also have an audience. There's some people that have authority for what they do. And, when it comes to the Boys and Girls Club, there might be people on the board that aren't just active and have experience with the company that they run, but they might have experience with children or with nonprofits in what they've done professionally as well. So there is not just a location schema, there's a person schema, where you can say, here's this person, and also here's their LinkedIn profile, and here's an article that was written up about them, and here's their author page if they've written a book on Amazon, and make it very strong and obvious that that the person you're talking about is this person that has all these other sources out on the internet.
All right. Good question. Josh, if I understand this correctly, you're almost redefining SEO rather than search engine optimization. I think you had coined it once before.
Oh, yes. So
what was that?
I think the SEO term isn't going to go away, but it's not about search engine optimization anymore. So we're going to call it search everywhere optimization, because that's what people are doing. They're going to AIs as a thought engine to think for them.
Okay, now let me ask you this then. So in your opinion, does this place now more importance on things like social media, and where I'll just mention in the past, my history was always for a business trying to get new customers or new traffic, they would just pull out an ad. It would happen quickly, and they didn't have to so much worry about gaining a following on Facebook or posting videos on YouTube. Are you saying that is now, AI is now changing that because they're now pulling from everywhere?
So search everywhere optimization is, are the efforts we can do to earn position. And then when it comes to advertising on social or anywhere, what we're doing is we're buying that position. But what we've learned is that these two things actually work together. I've had one client come to me and he said, I want to advertise on Facebook. Let's get going. And when I looked on his Facebook page, there hasn't been a post on there for 10 years. And when you advertise in Facebook, it's an amplifier of what you already have. And if you don't have a lot of activity, you're paying a lot because there's not a whole lot to amplify. When it comes to Google search, Google actually it'll cost you more if your website isn't optimized. And if you don't have any ranking at all on the Google organically, it is actually more expensive to advertise on Google. So there's this balance on, and doing SEO is actually a bump up for your advertising. So it'd be very important. The interesting thing is today, I think the biggest shift is there's a whole new area to advertise in, and that's the big thing and the differentiator. And what is similar to what happened 25 years ago? 25 years ago, we're telling people there's a new market to be involved in, and it's called the internet, and you can advertise on it. And people are stretched, trying to get their head around the different places. And that's what's happening again. We advertise on Google. Well, now we can also advertise and earn position in AI.
So you're advocating for a much broader approach with marketing, as opposed to just being, let's say, focused in one area like Google ads or Facebook ads or maybe blog writing. You're saying, no, you have to be a little bit in all of those areas, of more of a balanced approach.
Yeah, well, so that's one of the reasons why we've introduced bundles, is because when people would sign up with us for advertising, we would have them just on Google, and then it was another contract for this other network, and it was all very formulaic. We called it a la carte services. But the real goal is to start them on something that has their budget. And in this case, they're on 2 networks if you're on the Grow plan, for example. But if Google Display doesn't perform well, then we'll pivot and we'll try a different one and close out one, start another, and evolve the marketing strategy instead of switching. Instead of having to rewrite, a proposal or a contract for that. And the same thing when it comes to all these different SEO tactics and monitoring tactics that we have. Someone also had a question. They shared their Google listing. So here we are, strategic plan now by Erica. And it looks like there were some questions about FAQs and posts. So in here, you can, these say on Google, these are some posts that you can put in your Google business profile. So this is what I was referring to about your Google business profile being another social media channel. You want to put those in there. But as a person, I could go to their listing inside Maps, and you can see the reviews here. And in here is the ability to ask questions. So me as a person can ask a question, and it's also going to list a history of questions people have asked and that the business owner has answered. So this is the section I was suggesting. Instead of waiting for the community to ask a question, you can actually seed some of the ideal questions that you would love for someone to ask in here. And then of course, if you don't want it to look like you asked it, you can always, ask your brother-in-law or something like that to ask a question that you can answer as well. But these questions, and more importantly, your answers, is an opportunity for you to put a keyword in there. So with my example of a company that paints houses, well, we're going to talk about paint and trim and the word color. And those are great things that probably should be words that we're using in the answer, some of the questions that we're answering there.
Okay, guys, I'm going to test everybody on their chat ability here. Who thinks Josh going through a little review of their website in a 30-minute conversation would be helpful? If you think it would be helpful, give me a thumbs up or a hell yeah in the chat section.
Oh, you can do hell yeah, huh? Oh, in chat.
Now, Josh, the other thing I had for you was you said you could actually help people. I mean, some people want to do this on their own. For others, it's like, wow, this is kind of overwhelming, and I would like your help, Josh. But you put a checklist for people to do a cursory review on their own business. Is that right?
Yeah. So let me back up here.
Okay.
What we did is I put a small checklist here of just the basics, but we have one that's probably about 5 times longer that anyone can take home and look at some of the things that they would want to do on that they could and should do for their website. But it's pieced together throughout the entire presentation. On there, it includes using conversational language in your articles, and using like location schema and question and answer schema. as well. So it's pretty advanced. That's going to get emailed out to everyone tomorrow. So Chris, thanks for keeping me on my toes on some of the things that I forgot. I appreciate that.
No problem. And Josh, you said there you were going to be sending out a link to your self-booking calendar where people could also schedule some time with you.
Yes, that will be on the page that has the recording. So you're going to get an email and it'll have a booking calendar link. It'll have a link to view the recording. And on the page that you can see the recording will also have the checklist of homework that you can do.
Terrific. Okay, well, we've got a number of responses in the chat for people that would like to talk to you, Josh. We will prioritize those clients first, but anyone else who wants to jump in, just get to that self-booking button and we'll get
Yeah, you know what? I can
Josh.
this is the link right there. I just shared the link that people can use if they want to book something up already. I've in getting ready for this, and I've had a chance to take all of these thoughts about AI and try to look ahead. I've shared with a lot of clients. So there's appointments that I already have booked up already for this. So it's been fun. And thank you for those who's let me share and exercise these ideas first as I put them together for everyone.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll just we have time for a few more questions. So if anybody wants to jump in before Josh signs off, they can do it now.
When people signed up, I did go through some other questions, and one person's question was more revenue. How do I make more money out of this? And you know, there's the basic one. If I increase traffic, I'm going to increase my revenue. But that's really an easy answer. And I wanted to give and touch on that one a little bit. So,
Hi, baby. Doing a work meeting right now? Yeah. No.
and so with the more revenue thing, getting more traffic can get to be expensive, especially when we're talking about advertising. So what is something else that we can do? We've and Chris is an expert at this. When we look at some of the websites, sometimes they're written with an engineering perspective. A lot of assumptions are being made. The familiarity with the product and the familiarity of what you do with the product is so high. We call it the curse of knowledge, that the customer gets lost. It's not about the customer. It's more about you on the website. And you know, there's all this effort, especially if you're doing advertising, paying to get people to your site, but then it's not necessarily being friendly. It doesn't help them see what the next phase is. The technical term for improving the rate of people that and getting them more likely to call you or sign up is called conversion optimization. We want people to, when they get to your website, say, "Oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. They identified my frustration, my problem. I know what I need to do next." And we've seen a lot of sites that is less about the customer and more about yourself, more about the business in messaging, or sometimes it gets lost in what you're doing. And there's a lot of time being spent on 30 years of experience, and for example, and a lot of time on success in the courtroom, things like that. But it's not talking about the problem, and it's a lot of focus on establishing your authority and giving a lot of confidence, but not identifying with the customer. And that's just one of multiple problems. Another example, here's a good one. Another example is calls to action. We've seen a web page where when you pull up the website, there's 5 calls to action. There is a follow us on social media, sign up for our newsletter, call us now, contact us, and then and learn more about us. And it's like, well, which is the one that you really want the customer to do? That's like probably call now. So having a lot of calls to action is a problem, for example. So if you're looking for something where you have a lot of traffic, so it's not more traffic that you're looking for, but you're just wondering, well, why am I not getting as many leads from this traffic as I think I can? A conversion conversation is a conversion optimization question, a messaging question, a discussion with Chris or I would probably be the way to go for that one. So yeah, we'd be more than happy to help. Pulling up websites and doing website reviews is a blast, to be honest. All right, everyone, you guys, thank you so much for signing up. The recording and the email will be sent and shared with everyone tomorrow, along with my booking calendar. Thank you for your time. Of course, you guys can email me anytime to ask other questions. I doubt this is going to be the last webinar on AI and what we do to make in the future. I think AI is
That
changing a
timer
lot.
for 4 hours.
What was that?
I think that might be, is that Sarah? If you could just mute. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
there you go. Okay, thanks, Sarah.
So I think that when it comes to AI, how people are using it today is interesting, but I think how AI is going to be used several months from now is going to be very different than in that. Think about search. 20 years ago, we would search to find a topic. And then today we can search based on operating hours. And not only that, we have this thing, and that's the other topic I didn't talk about, 0-click search. That means someone can search, get the phone number to the restaurant they were looking for, and never click to the website. And that drives a lot of our clients crazy, that they work so hard to get with Google, but they're not getting the traffic to their website, but the answer is happening. And now that's what AI is all about, giving the answer without sending one to your website. It's 0-click search. How is AI going to be different? I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I meet a lot with some of the local government dignitaries, and every one of them has a personal assistant. So when you're in these meetings, right next to them is their personal assistant with the notepad, writing everything down. And you see this in movies too. They're walking by and the personal assistant says, "Oh, that's Wendy. Oh, hi, Wendy," is what the dignitary says. Like, they have this infinite knowledge. And then, in the car before they get out for the meeting, the personal assistant will say, "Don't forget to tell this person, congratulate them on their 25th wedding anniversary," and all this knowledge to stay connected. I feel like in AI, one example is, why can't we all have personal assistants? When I have a meeting or a lunch with someone and they bring their personal assistant and sits there and take notes, I don't see there being much of a difference of a person doing that, or if someone taking their personal assistant digital phone and setting it on the table and it taking those same notes and reminding me before I step into someone's office about wedding anniversaries or certain congratulations or birthdays, for example. So AI is going to be very different ahead. We got to stay on top of it today. And I'm looking forward to the next presentation to knock your socks off in a few months. We'll see what happens. You guys, thank you so much for your time. This was a blast. And reach out if you have any questions. And I'll see you guys later.
Great. Thanks, Josh.